What's going on, guys? It's snoov603 bringing you the first game I played on Battlefield 3 post-beta. FakeThriller and I went out last night to our super secret location, and we picked up our copies of Battlefield 3 at midnight. I gotta say, I was surprised there was no one there. Where we go to pick up our games, super secret location. we usually, run into some people during the midnight release, but we got there like an hour early just to err on the side of caution. And there was literally no one there. So we had to kind of fart around for like an hour, killing time, just walking around, doing whatever. And we ended up driving over to the GameStop right down the road just to see what was up. And there was only like 5 or 6 people sitting outside at 11 o'clock. Again, kind of surprising. I expected a lot more people to be around, given all the hype surrounding Battlefield 3. And I gotta tell you, the hype is warranted. This game is ridiculous. Just kind of going to go over some things, my first impressions. I'm going to elaborate on the first impressions of gameplay, the maps, and then things that I don't like so far that I fully expect will be addressed in upcoming patches. So just kind of brief overview of my first impressions thus far is the game. Before I actually get into it, this to me was the most critical aspect of this game that had me worried and excited all at the same time. The game is just as fast-paced as the beta. If you thought the beta was really good and fast-paced enough that it grabbed your attention, then you're fucking stoked. This game plays just as fast. There was a rumor going around that they were looking into potentially slowing the game down a little bit by either decreasing bullet damage or increasing health. And those rumors are false. I didn't notice any difference whatsoever. No noticeable difference between the game of the pace of gameplay between Battlefield 3 and its beta. So there's nothing really to worry about. The levels all look absolutely amazing. It's ridiculous the amount of detail they put into it, but I'll go into that further later on in the commentary. And the game just feels incredibly smooth. Everything feels really good. The jumping over wall animations, going to crouch, dropping down into prone. It all feels great. Throwing grenades, meleeing, even though I don't really do a whole lot of meleeing, everything feels really, really good. Very smooth. I really don't have any complaints about any of that. To kind of take that and elaborate on the gameplay itself, the first thing I really noticed, and it took a while, I noticed the first game, and I was like, well, it's the first game, well, whatever. I'll play a couple more, and until then I'll reserve judgment. But it became more and more apparent. And again, this is the very first time the game has come out. But me personally, I felt like there is a noticeable difference in the player's skill level between Battlefield 3 and the COD series. Now, before I go any further, don't waste your time in the comments, pissing and moaning and fucking trolling about, the COD players are better than BF3 players, or vice versa, okay? That's not what this is about. That's not what I'm driving at. I'm just making a brief observation, and it's impossible not to compare the two. Sweet double right there. Just keep it adult, please, and keep it mature in the comments. But, to further elaborate, granted, I know the game just came out, but it just seemed like, we were steamrolling these kids. We played for about 4 hours last night, and playing Rush almost entirely. Like the last half an hour of the night, we did some team deathmatch, and then we lost a couple games. But we were playing Rush, we didn't lose a single game. And most of those games, we never even let them take one MCOM when we were defending. It was ridiculous. And we do when we're on a good team. We don't really lose that often either when we're playing COD. But there are definitely games where we get put up against another team that's pretty stacked. Not so much playing Rush last night. It just seemed like there was a noticeable difference in the player's skill level. The curve between COD and Battlefield. Personally, I honestly really think that has a lot to do with, one, there are fewer players on Battlefield 3 versus Call of Duty. And 2, and this is huge, I don't think a lot of people played the beta. And shame on them for not taking advantage of that when they had the chance, because I definitely jumped on it, and I don't know, I think I probably put in about maybe 12 hours, we'll say. 12 hours of, actual gameplay. that gave me the opportunity to really get the game mechanics down. You know, get a feel for all the weapons, get a feel for just how much it would take to kill someone, you know, and so on. The important things you really need to get a feel for if you want to excel at a first-person shooter. I really don't think a lot of people took advantage of the beta, and because of that, they didn't have that learning curve already set aside. You know, it was like when I signed on to play this, it felt like I was already a rank 10 player. I'd already gone through and gotten used to a lot of the nuances of the game, and not many other people did. We were ranking up way faster than everyone because we were just getting points like crazy, and that just another reminder, dude. This is a team game, Rush. It is an objective game. You need to defend. You need to defuse and arm those MCOMs because, disarm. You get like 500 points, I think, for disarming or arming the MCOM at any point. So it's like, you gotta take advantage of those points because that's a lot of points. And I was ranking up like crazy. You know, I was at least one rank and sometimes two ranks ahead of everybody else all the time, with the exception of FakeThriller and another subscriber we played with, Mal. You can see he's in our squad down here. But I mean, other than that, the gameplay, everything just feels awesome. As far as the maps, dude, holy shit. That is really the best way to put it. It's just holy shit. It's just amazing. The quality, and the amount of detail they put in every single one of these maps. And it's not even just where you're playing. It's like the whole background, just everything. Every aspect of the maps are unreal. And I apologize right now. I don't remember the name of the maps. I only know two of them. Metro and Caspian Border, because I saw so many trailers of them. But I'm going to have to write down a cheat sheet because I just got owned by the Hummer. I would like to be able to accurately refer to them. But there was one particular map we started out on, and it was playing like at dusk. It wasn't quite night, but it wasn't still day. It was right at that time of the night. And the map was, for the lack of a better word, beautiful. It really was. Out in the background, like behind us, it's not even where you were playing. You could just see this elaborate city, you know, with like plumes of smoke. You could see it looked like it was under siege. So there was like crater holes and all the smoke coming up from where it had been bombed and stuff. It was unreal. The amount of detail that they put into not only the playable area of the map, but all the surrounding areas from there as well. I wish the same could be said for Call of Duty, but that's like one of the Achilles heels of Call of Duty. Their maps suck as far as like detail come by. That's just my personal opinion. The game's still fun, but I mean, look at firing range on Black Ops. I know that's different. It's Treyarch versus Infinity War, but it's just one of the examples of what I've seen between Call of Duty and Battlefield is like the whole map is basically made up of fucking pieces of plywood that have been painted on there, held up by 2x4s. You can see that from the outside of the map. Like, there's no real attention to detail. You know, it's just kind of make something kind of nice for where everyone's playing, and then from there, it's whatever. You know, don't waste your time. Developers of Battlefield 3 went above and beyond. It's ridiculous, the amount of detail. Everything just looks so real. And to kind of touch upon the gameplay and the maps all in one go, their attention to detail in the environment, the feel of the game, to me is absolutely unrivaled by any other game out there. You really feel like you were in this game, and that's what Battlefield really has going for it. That's what I love most about it, and certainly more than Call of Duty. Call of Duty is good, but most of the game and gun sounds sound tinny and really chintzy. You can tell that you can definitively tell that the majority of them are just generated sound effects. It feels like they actually went out in Battlefield 3 and like recorded some of these sounds out, like in real life. Like creating them by creating explosions off the distance, recording them, and so on and so forth. Like, it just feels very, very real when you're in this game. And to me, that's an experience unmatched by any other game. Now, the only kind of downside to the maps, well, actually, one of the positives, dude, there's so many routes to run. That's the good thing about the size of the map. There are a ton of different routes you could possibly even consider to run to get from where you're spawning to the objectives. But at the same token, that's kind of one of the Achilles heels of this game. Some of these maps where they spawn you when you're attacking, they're just too big. And that, I think it obviously has to do with that because of the vehicles. You know, it's forcing you to use the vehicles. That rolls into my last point. I hate Caspian Border. Hate might be a little strong, but I truly dislike it. You start out, when you're attacking at the first 2 MCOMs, you are literally 500 meters away. That is absurd. And if you don't get a vehicle, like if you spawn and all the vehicles are gone, do you know how fucking long it takes to run 500 meters, even though it's a video game? Like, dude, that takes a long ass time, and that happened to me last night, and I was irritated. It took me like 2 to 3 minutes just to get to the friggin' MCOM, and it's like, dude, that's 2 to 3 minutes I could have been using to play the game. But that's really only, to me, that was the standout map where it was like, okay, this is really way too far to be running between MCOMs, and I really wish I had a vehicle. The vast majority of these maps, they're not that big when you're playing Rush, that between objectives, you're like, holy fuck, these maps are huge and it's just taking too long and there's no action going on. There are a few others that were borderline and just, there's, you know, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I could do without this game. But honestly, it's really not a big deal. It's not as big a deal as most people thought it would be, including myself. I really thought that the bigger maps were going to kind of hinder the pace of the gameplay, but for the most part, that's just not true. It is still very fast-paced, and it's an awesome game. I really, if you're on the fence, at least go rent it and try it out, but I think it's going to be great. Last couple things I want to touch on real quick before this video ends. There were a few bugs that we encountered last night that they're not game-breaking by any means, so do not let it stop you from getting this game or at least trying it out. But one of the things was the game was kind of laggy, but just like with Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2 when they dropped, dude, there's just so many people trying to sign on to play it at midnight release. It's bound to happen. Things are going to slow down. I'm not worried about it. It's going to get better, probably even today, day of. Party chat was so-so, so we ended up just talking on Skype to make things easier. That'll probably get fixed. Melee. When I go to Melee, I'd be stuck holding my knives. I didn't really know what that was all about, but I had to like hit triangle to go back to my gun. That got a little annoying here and there. And then my med pack got stuck. I'd go to throw it on med pack, and I'd just like pick it up and hold it. And so, kind of like my knife, I'd have to, hit left on the D-pad to pull it back in, and then hit left again to throw it. So, it's just a couple of little stupid things, but, aside from that, the game's awesome. But that's going to wrap it up. This is snoov603. Please don't forget to rate, subscribe, and comment. Please, 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 I love the comments, and make it constructive criticism. If you hate it, that's fine. Just let me know why, but don't be a dick about it. Again, this is snoov603. Later, guys.
Hey guys, check us out on Twitter at twitter.com/FakeThriller and twitter.com/snoov603.